Salve populace. Sorry for the lack of sound, but my chin mount failed and I didn't realize that my mic had been unplugged. This is an off-road test of the Honda CRF 300 with Dave Thorpe's off-road experience whilst at ABR 2024. We were lucky this was the first day as the instructors were still willing to take us onto parts of the Bridgestone track as well. We started off easily, just riding around these trees in a circle. I'd not ridden the CRF 300 before and was surprised at how good it felt right from the start. Due to its light weight, the CRF is really easy to handle. After a couple of laps and no accidents, which we'd already seen whilst waiting, we were off. As this was the Thursday, people were still arriving, so the traffic was really light. In the days to come, this avenue would be rammed with bikers, going for test rides, and gormless pedestrians wandering about. If you've not been to the ABR before, this corner can get really quite gravelly. And riding a bike that I don't know, I always get a bit nervous making the turn. This is where I started to get a proper feel for the bike. The throttle was nice and responsive, the standing position was much more comfortable than my 310, and I felt pretty confident. A lot of people don't like the standard suspension on the CRF, but I like the way it felt on this section. This is the start of the manufacturer's course. It does mix with the Bridgestone, so you have to be a little careful sometimes when cutting across roads. This is where you can really open up the bike. It has some great dips that test the suspension, but the dust can be pretty bad sometimes. You can see just how much my friend Darren bounces when he hits that dip, but also see just how well the suspension performs for me as I barely notice it. This hill is a great test for a bike's ability to just chug up, and the CRF did really well. Other bikes I've ridden have been hard to get up due to selecting the wrong gear or riding too slowly, but this bike just took it in its stride. This hill is another good test for a bike, as you can see how well it engine brakes in first. I always try to never use the brakes on this hill for that reason. After only one lap, we found ourselves heading onto the Bridgestone. Time for a proper test ride. This is a great spot to get a bit of air if you're feeling brave enough. This is another great spot where you can really open up if you're not having to follow people. The ABR Festival couldn't have found a better spot than Ragley Hall. The views are amazing, and the courses are perfect for riders of all levels. It was at this point that I made a bad decision. I decided that for this next hill I would follow Darren. There are two choices. The left is the expert part, the right is for beginners. You can guess what Darren chose. I wasn't expecting the sudden dip followed by a steep climb, so I really had to power through, feeling the rear wheel sliding behind me, and when I hit the top I managed to get at least a centimetre of air. After scaring myself witless, I was glad to see that the rest of the course was easy. We meandered through some fields and then back onto the road into the main camp for tea and medals.